Ow! I had to put on my glasses so that I looked smarter because that's how it works, right? Hello guys and welcome. Today I'm just going to talk about some of my favorite authors, books, writing styles, and these are just things that I typically prefer to read. I'm not saying that something that I don't like is terrible, I'm just saying it's not something that I would personally spend my time reading. So before I actually show you some of the books that I enjoyed, I just wanted to go over some of my favorite genres, authors, styles of writing. So I haven't really had a lot of time in the past few months to actually sit down and read. I've always been a bookworm my whole life. I have a huge collection of books that I don't even have room for anymore. So some of these are going to be from, I don't know, like freshman year, middle school-ish type of era. So they're going to be a lot of young adult / fiction, so which is a lot of stuff that I preferred to read in those times. But lately my taste has kind of matured. It's still fiction, but it's not so much the young adult like superpowers and all that kind of stuff. I don't really have like a specific like one author that I just read all of their books. I usually just go by genre. Fiction is really what I would classify it as, is generally what I gravitate towards. So my writing style, I guess, would anything that's unpredictable, because if I can guess what the next line is going to be or what's going to happen, then why would I waste my time reading it if I know exactly what's going to happen? I like to be surprised by my literature, and I like to be surprised by what I'm reading. So now I'm just going to get into some of the books that I enjoyed reading from a few years ago, because like I said, I haven't really had a lot of time. So I'm actually going to go with the most recent, and I would say that I read this maybe around sophomore, junior year, so in the last 2 years or so. So this trilogy is in the kind of young adult fiction that I was describing, and I'm going to start with the first one. It is called Three Dark Crowns, and it is by Kendare Blake. I enjoyed reading these books because, like I said, it was kind of unpredictable, and it included like real world, kind of like Harry Potter, how you had the Muggle world and then you had the Wizard world. It had the real world, and then it had like this secret island where everything really went down, and only people that the island wanted it to discover would discover it, you know what I mean? So basically the story took place there, and the writing, this is one of the ones that I was talking about where I enjoyed when it was kind of my own style. So a lot of dialogue in the book, like the way that the characters actually interacted with one another, is exactly how I would write it or how I would describe it. But overall, the books, they always had me on the edge of my seat. Like everyone had a cliffhanger, and I was super excited to move on to the next one. I remember one night I finished it at like 3 in the morning and started the next one and barely got any sleep that night. Ooh! So the first one is called Matched, and again, these are kind of like middle school era. I read these like a while ago. It's basically like this super futuristic society, which is like basically any young adult fiction book. You basically have to try to find, I don't really completely remember. Give me a second.
A few moments later.
Okay, so it's basically this society decides everything for its people, including people that they're supposed to marry. And this girl is like, what if I don't want to marry that person? And it kind of goes from there, and all 3 books just follow her story and how she deals. And this is actually the 3rd one. And to this day, I don't think I've ever read anything in quite the same way. I don't really have a favorite book, to be honest with you. More recently, I've been into a lot of mature readings, I guess. A while ago, I got this book. It's The Stand by Stephen King. She's kind of thick. And I got a few chapters in, and I haven't really gotten the chance to actually finish this one. I've been a lot more interested in Stephen King, and his writing is just unlike anybody. Just the way that he writes, it's so professional yet casual at the same time, which is very hard to explain. Stephen King has very quotable writing. You could pull literally like any line from one of his books and it'll be iconic. One of my favorite quotes of his that's actually very relevant to this whole assignment that we're doing is from his book Misery, which is about this author that gets kidnapped by his #1 fan. And I'm just gonna read that quote to you now. Writers remember everything, especially the hurts. Strip a writer to the buff, point to the scars, and he'll tell you the story of each small one. From the big ones, you get novels. A little talent is a nice thing to have if you want to be a writer. but the only real requirement is the ability to remember the story of every scar. Art consists of the persistence of memory. So that's actually a relevant quote to what we're talking about right now in the literary world, pretty much. And how to be an author, you just have to turn your tragedies into a work of art. Another more recent book that I started to read but never quite got to finish is titled The Reckoning by John, I don't know if it's Grisham or Grissom, so by this guy right here. And I haven't gotten very far in it, but so far what I read, it's kind of mysterious. So basically, there's this very renowned war hero in this small little town. Like, everyone always respected him, always looked up to him, and then he goes with no reason, like the reader doesn't even know, he shoots this pastor inside of the church. He basically doesn't care if he gets caught. Like, he goes back to his house and waits for the police. And I'm actually really excited to finish this reading because I want to know why he does it. Alright, so those were just some of the books that were my top picks, just some of my preferences, things I like to read, authors I like to read, authors I don't like to read. That was just a little bit of my writing taste, I guess you could say. Once I get time, I'm actually going to get back into books and back into reading and actually finish a book. So thank you guys so much for watching, even though Mr. Washburn forced you to. And I'll see you guys next time. Bye!